5 minutes late.
Oh, yeah. We haven't just think about it.
Good.
I've been working. Tim will be working.
Okay, I think it is.
He's got it way down low.
We're going to start our board meeting now, and we're going to start with invocation. Mr. Slade, would you mind beginning our?
Let's pray. Father, it's indeed a privilege to come before you to invoke your blessing on our time here today, Lord, to thank you for the promise of your presence and your power and your protection over us. Father, I thank you that you have given each of these gentlemen specific and special skills and abilities that they can use to serve both you and their fellow man. Thank you, Lord, that you're going to give them opportunities to conduct the business of the county in a way that benefits all citizens in our county. Thank you, Lord, for those who are assigned with the responsibility to protect us. I pray, Father, that you will encourage them, that they would be blessed in their efforts, and Father, that you would protect them and bring them home safely to us in Christ's name.
Amen.
We have no public comments today. First on our agenda is our old business. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Morrison to approve January 4th minutes.
Second.
Second by Mr. Morrow. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Consent agenda. Have a motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Morrow to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Mr. John Shirley. Judge Shirley.
Gentlemen, what I'd like to do is, I noticed that on the agenda, there are two different places where the courthouse may be talked about, and I'd like to reserve my comments until then, because I may not have any, depending on and I'm trying to save you all some time. Would that be okay?
We'll table yours for now then.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good deal.
Sheriff?
All right, first item I have is authority for the Sheriff's Department to hire Hall's towing service to pick up a mine-resistant ambush protection vehicle, which is the MRAP from Texarkana, and the cost is going to be about $1,600.
Motion by Mr. Morrow to approve. Second by Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Then the second item is to authorize to sign an agreement with Rick's Mobile Homes to transport one double-wide and two Katrina cottages to the Sheriff's Department shop for refurbishing, and upon completion of refurbishing, then move to the jail. The double-wide, the school building that they donated to us, and then the two cottages we're going to try to use to put trustees in.
Motion approved.
Motion by Mr. Morrison to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gaines. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
And Mr. President, I would like to add an item if y'all would let me.
All right.
This is, we having a jailer or reserve class at the training room. Anyway, we get AMR to come do the CPR certification for them, and it's $15 a person. What I was liking, get a check in the amount of $300. We have 20 people that's gonna be getting their certification for CPR.
I'll make that motion.
Add the item to the agenda.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Morrow to add this item. Second by Mr. Cross. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
I'll make a motion to approve the item.
Motion by Mr. Morrow to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cross. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Oh,
John
Pat,
Sullivan.
you,
Oh.
I'm gonna let Raymond do this.
All right, I have petitions for change of assessment of the 2015 real and personal property roll.
So moved.
motion by Mr. Morrison.
Second.
Second by Mr. Morrow to approve. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
I also have some petitions to adjust the 2015 homestead exemption roll.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Morrow, second by Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Ms. Herring.
Good morning.
Morning.
We need to award the bids for the semi-annual supplies that were opened on December 15th. The recommendation is attached to your packet.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Morrow, second by Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. First item that I have on the agenda is a development called Dogwood Trace, and I am recommending approval of the construction plans on that project. This is a development out off Treckham Ridge Road, right adjacent to North Brandon Estates. So I'm recommending approval of those construction plans today.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Morrison, second by Mr. Morrow. Any discussion? How big is this gonna be?
It's going, well, I don't recall the total number of lots. I'm gonna say 30. They're large lots.
20, I think it was 2025 when they came to
Yeah,
the city.
and they're large lots, and this is a development, it's a single road. So we required them, they put in an emergency road in case it was needed during some problem, which goes out to North Brandon Estates.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you. Next item that I have on the agenda is our Star Road Bridge replacement. I'm recommending approval of pay request number 5 to Dozer LLC in the amount of $11,613.60 and requesting authority to issue that check. The main work, well, some of the bridge work is being done, but we're mainly working on that Muse Road bypass, which has to be complete before we can shut Star Road down to go ahead and finish the project.
Right.
So, anyway, I recommend approval of that pay request.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Morris, second by Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. The next item that I have is a little wordy, but anyway, I need to read this into the record. Requesting authority for Greenfield Station LLC to install their wearing surface to the streets in Greenfield Ridge Parts 1F and 1G in exchange for the receipt by Rankin County of a letter acknowledging the developer's responsibility to provide a 2-year warranty for street construction on Greenfield Ridge Drive in parts 1F and 1G. The other streets within phases 1F and 1G will have the standard 1-year warranty. And what the situation is they've got another section kind of back in the back to the east that they're getting ready to put their black base on. And when the asphalt contractor comes out there, he wants to put the wearing surface on these streets. 2 of the streets built out. There's no more construction to go. This one that he's requesting to be allowed to put up a 2-year warranty to go ahead and put that surface course down and have a 2-year warranty on the construction of that street. So that's what.
Motion by Mr. Moore to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. The last item that I have is requesting authority to approve the construction plans for Saddle Ridge subdivision in Supervisor District 1. This is a development off of what we call Ehrlich Road. I refer to it as Old Ehrlich Road. That's the original Ehrlich Road. And we've had the meetings relative to it, so I'm in a position to recommend approval of those construction plans this morning.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Morrison.
Second.
Second by Mr. Moore. Any discussion? I do. Is this the one you told me about when I was at your office about they weren't going to put asphalt down in the initial stages?
In the initial stages,
What do
that's
you mean?
correct.
That they intend to just, I guess, gravel?
No, they're going, in the end though, it's going to be, have the wearing surface and all.
The end result, because we required them to get some geotech testing done, the materials, et cetera, and what the geotech engineers recommended is 4 inches of clay gravel 4 inches of black base and 1.5 inches of surface asphalt on that native material that's out there now. And how he came up with that, he used a structural number, which is what we go by in designing roads. So the structural number of the gravel and the black base and the wearing surface would be equal to what our regulations require, of 5 inches of black base and 1.5 inches of surface material.
So he is gonna asphalt it in the onset of the project.
Not the onset, no, sir. But he is going to asphalt.
Well, this is unusual, is it not?
Yes, sir.
I mean, don't our regulations call for them to asphalt up front whenever
sir.
they do a development?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess I'm the only one who has issue with it, huh?
Well, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to county specifications. I think that's we're just approving the plans to that.
Right.
And
But if we do this for them, you know we're opening a can of worms, because there's already been other people come to the county wanting to do this exact thing, and we've not allowed it in the past. So I just make y'all aware of that.
I'm good with it
Okay.
because of the way it's set up.
And what he will have to do now is he's going to put up a letter of credit,
Mhm.
not just for the wearing surface, but a letter of credit for everything that has to be done out there to bring it up to county regulations. Normally, a letter of credit, they've got their black base in, a letter of credit is for finishing the wearing surface in case something happens to the developer, whatever the case may be. And in this one, they're gonna put up a letter of credit for more than that, be considerably more than that, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Ah,
All opposed?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Slay.
Mr. Bishop, the first item under me is our recognition, and I think we're early.
Yeah.
Would it be okay to move forward with the other
Please do.
sections?
I told them to be here at 9:30.
Yes, sir.
no, not necessarily, but I wouldn't do it. I can explain later.
Morning, gentlemen. The first item under my section is to set a public hearing for January the 28th, 2016 at 9 a.m. for the Old Fannin Road Store and Lock LLC nuisance property. That's at 1572 Old Fannin Road in District 2.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for that.
Motion
Find
by
a place
Mr.
where it is. Where's it now?
Man, it's a weird location. It's almost at the end of Laurelwood subdivision, but it's a street just past there, almost touching that mini storage area. So on Old Fannin Road,
Yeah.
to the
I
far
was trying
side
to
of Laurelwood.
pinpoint it,
Yeah.
reading it, yeah. Okay.
Make a motion to set that public hearing.
Motion by Mr. Cross,
second.
second by Mr. Marr. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Ah,
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The next item under my section is discussion of the new courthouse facilities. If I may, I would just ask for your deference to give a little bit of a historical perspective right quick and just get us all on the same page. As you guys know, we've been working on new courthouse facilities for quite some time, better part of probably a couple of years, if memory serves. The prior board dealt and wrestled with that issue at length. There were a number of meetings. The prior board retained professionals, our architects, to help us with that planning process. Original plan was looking at, and still is, to look at the property that is located behind the Trustmark Bank, bordered by North Street and Tamberlin Street. And that piece of property is roughly about a 4 to 5 acre piece of property in total. Portion of that is owned by Trustmark. We have engaged in extensive discussions with Trustmark about that property. I'll have a little bit of an update for you later on that. The design process ensued. Discussions with end users have taken place. Lengthy fairly significant and detailed discussions. Construction drawings went forward on a plan. That plan included a building, one single building, one aspect of it being two-story, another aspect of it being single-story, both joined by a common entry area for purposes of security, for purposes of ease of access and control. Lots of discussions with the sheriff and others about the security issues, because that was one of the primary factors that was driving some of this. That we're having a hard time effecting security on some of our existing structures, our existing courthouse facilities. You guys are fully aware, and you've been apprised on a number of occasions about the condition of our courthouses, existing courthouses, and the need to address that. It's been no secret. Everybody that has had to deal with this issue acknowledges that. And so there's been a lot of effort put into trying to address that issue. Obviously, these issues are also have to be considered in light of the cost, in light of how it's going to be paid for, and what the impact on other services that our citizens have come to expect from Rankin County, what that would be, and how that obviously relates to our millage rates. And so there's a lot of moving parts in all of that equation and discussion. Back to the point about the plan, you had a building that got to the point of detailed elevations and detailed construction drawings that included the Chancery Court operations, a 4-courtroom courthouse on a second floor above a lower floor that would be composed in the early stages of our Chancery Court land records, of our Chancery Court, I'm sorry, not land records, Chancery Court records, and our Chancery Court operations. And on the single-story facility, you had all of the Justice Court operations, including 2 courtrooms and all of the facilities required for our Justice Court clerk, her staff, room for the constables, and also our county prosecutor. And so that facility sort of became the focus to address some of the issues with the old courthouse. By enacting that plan, it allowed for the opening of our existing space here in this facility that would allow for relocating other uses in the old courthouses out of the old courthouse, with the idea being that we could sort of clear out the old courthouse. There's been a lot of discussion about the condition of the old courthouse, and so that plan seemed to be a reasonable plan. At some point coming into the fall, there were other discussions. The board was alerted by both the tax collector and tax assessor and others that maybe the board ought to slow down on that process and consider a different arrangement that would allow for relocating both the tax collector and the tax assessor to that facility. And then that opened up a discussion about how to address the Justice Court in relation to changes being made with that new facility. And so there's a little bit of a historical perspective. As a result of those discussions coming into the fall, the prior board decided it would be appropriate to ask our architects to stop the planning process, not spend any more money on planning until there was an opportunity for the new board to address exactly what are we going to do at this point. And so I think that gets us up 30,000-foot view of how we got here. A lot of details in there, and a lot of effort and energy and expense that obviously you can't really describe or discuss. A lot of effort getting us up through that point. I want to make that point clear. A lot of energy and activity and meetings and focusing and hand-wringing and trying to figure this out. So we've been at work. There has not been a delay in any of that action to address what we know to be issues that have to be addressed. Okay? So with that, we have with us today, to the extent that we need questions answered. If you have questions, we have our architects here with us today. Both Carl Franco and Jeff McGee are here. And so I would just simply ask the board, are there any questions for our architects? And we'll be prepared to answer any questions that you guys may have at this point.
I have a comment I'd like to make at this time. What I would like to see us do, and this is really more so for the new board members, and I'm not hoping not putting words into you guys' mouths, is, a lot of discussion's been had about the new building, and everybody knows my opinion as well, as I got up, stood before the board a couple of months ago to express that. But we have a work session scheduled for January the 28th at 9 o'clock. I would like to extend an invitation to all those end users, anybody, to come and have your one last hurrah on what you would like to see us do on that, with the intent, have the architects here as well to answer those questions on whatever scenarios, whatever the questions may be, with the intent, assuming there's not something that just really jumps up and just grabs us all by surprise, with us making a decision at the February 1 board meeting to give the respective architects their marching orders and to let's expedite this process and get it started.
What do you really think we're gonna accomplish by prolonging it? Because everybody, we've talked it over, just like Mr. Slade said, we've talked it, we've gone back.
That would be the prior board is talk. I'm giving the opportunity for the 3 of you board members to hear that same conversations as well. Granted, I don't know if anything's going to jump out into it, but I do want to have I do want the representation that we have listened to all those parties in concern. Judge has been kind enough to share his thoughts. I'm sure Mr. Swales, Ms. Fortenberry, Mr. Sullivan have want to share their thoughts. Could be Renee and the community. However, but I do want to offer that opportunity to the 3 new members here, so we have the same luxury that you gentlemen have had in the past and hearing everything that needs to be said.
Have y'all not heard everything up to this, things up to this point?
I don't know.
Well, we can do that and just delay it on further. As far as I'm concerned, we could move on today. But that's just gonna be another delay in time. If that's what you choose to do, that's fine. But like I say, as far as I'm concerned, we can make a motion, move it on today.
I'll make a comment. I've got court set for January 28th. Obviously, I'm one of the ones that's been most vocal.
That's true.
I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to get one of the other judges to substitute. I'll certainly make every effort.
Well, Judge, with all due respect, I think your comments are on record. I think they're well-founded in where your position is, and I appreciate that. But I don't, I don't think there's any surprise or going to be any change in your point. But
I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say.
yeah.
Right, I agree.
I understand the tax assessor says there's nothing wrong with his facilities. So why should we make any changes that affect that? I'd like to hear him say that on the record.
Okay, that's
Well,
fine.
they've said it once. You're right. Judge, well, I would like to see, I think you're talking about the users. I do think, or anybody, I think Judge Shirley obviously needs to be one that's here. And he says he can't be here.
Well, I don't know, I'm scheduled to be here, but I'm a substitute for one of the other judges, and that may have changed, so he may be able to substitute back into his original place. I don't know until I talk to him about it.
We're,
But I will manage it somehow, even if I have to stay here for a little while, because I think it's critical that we all be able to participate. Even if I have, you understand, I may have to tell these folks up in Justice Court, I'm sorry, you're gonna be gone for a while.
Okay.
I'll have a discussion with the board.
okay. Well, what's, anybody else got anything else to say?
So 28th it is. Is that when you want to hear from the architects also, or do you?
I'd like for them to be here, and
Okay.
be prepared to discuss whatever may come up. And maybe nothing comes up. I don't know. That's what I want to have at that work session, since we're going to be here anyway. And we'll try to do it first thing, Judge Shirley, at 9 o'clock, so you can adjust your schedule accordingly and get that knocked out of the way on the front end before we move into other business that needs to be discussed that day.
We could possibly even make a decision that day then.
Possible. I think Mr. Bishop's indicated he may be out on February 1, and it could very well, I'm prepared to make one, assuming there's nothing else that pops up that would cause delay.
Mr. President, with it being your prerogative, we would simply notate on our work session agenda that that's both a discussion and a potential action item.
Okay.
That way, it'll be clear to everyone that that there is the possibility of action being taken at the work session on that matter.
All right.
I think that's a good point.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. President, I'll move to item C, which is ratification of authorization and approval of the change order of the relocation of the knee wall segment of the circuit court renovation project, and acknowledgement that the change order amount is less than the amount of the contingency fund that was referenced in the construction project. You guys will recall that we had a discussion with our judges, our circuit judges, about the distance or spacing between our pews in the third courtroom. This is a courtroom that has been in existence since the inception of the building, but it has not been used primarily for anything other than grand juries. And so now that we have a brand-new third circuit judge for Rankin County that's serving Rankin and Madison counties, there are at least 5 court terms that are going to be happening throughout the year here. In addition to the existing circuit court operations, that's going to require the impaneling of 2 veneries for the purpose of seating juries in both of those operating courtrooms. The judges have already started the process of running 2 circuit courts at the same time here in Rankin County. And so we had to get busy quickly about renovating the circuit court to allow for the new circuit judge to have space, his court reporter, his court administrator have space, and also get that third courtroom into usable shape. And so part of that process was making some adjustments to allow for a larger venire to be seated. That called for a renovation project that basically it redid the seating in the third courtroom. When they got in there and looked at it initially, it didn't seem to be any sort of issue with addressing those seating requirements. However, when the pews were actually placed in position, one of the circuit judges had a problem with the narrow spacing between the pews. We alerted the board to that issue. It required some fast movement because those pews have to be ordered, they have to be constructed, and they have to be placed within the defined period of time the judges had already set so that that court can be functioning. You guys allowed us to move very quickly with that authorization, and now we're simply ratifying that. We told you on the front end, we got a commitment out of the contractor that all of the renovation work to do what needed to be done on the seating could be done within the structure of the contingency fund in the renovation project. In other words, no more money than had already been approved for the total project. It just went from contingency to an expense on doing the renovation. That number has come back in. It's about 2/3 of what was left in the contingency. Instead of $19,000 in the contingency, the total cost is going to be closer to $14,000. So that's what you're approving, is ratifying.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Morris, second by Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
I'm stretching everything.
Yeah.
Get Mr. Jimmy here.
Well, I want to ask a question before you move on this. Hey, Ken, do you think is having 2 circuit courts going here at the same time any impact that's going to have on our jail in terms of population?
Jail?
Yeah.
Could be some. The impact it's going to have is parking.
Yeah, well, yeah. Right.
Yeah,
And the 19th is our first hoorah.
yeah, we already heard. I don't know what the answer
We have to,
will be.
Do we
need to
have-
get 2 shuttles rather
Do we
than
have
1.
access to that Trustmark parking lot back behind the bank? To overflow?
Yes, we actually are, which we had purchased out of the golf cart double seater, so we'll have 2 people running and going from the back parking lot at Trustmark. But
Yeah, any way to get any signage up, a little bit of signage, say juror parking to the back there maybe on Monday or Tuesday to kind of at least let them know something's back there to park before they give up and go on?
Bob, we have a sign that says Circuit Court Overflow
Yeah,
Parking.
they
You
got
probably
overflow
never even
parking.
seen it. But there is a sign that says that. I noticed it for the first time.
I think they add it on to their, when they get their something in the mail, they can just add that in their parking behind.
I think that'd be a good
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Do that, it'd make it a lot easier for them driving all around.
Right.
It's gonna be a big project.
Sure is.
Those summons have already gone out, and Brian, they did mention to me, Judge did mention to Laura, I think also that Brian mentioned something in the letter about the parking and the cars running. The judge told us that was in the letter.
he may have, I don't know.
The judge said that he.
I do know, I let them know they're gonna be running the golf carts and they're guy that works security at the metal detector. Want to have 2 extra people up there to help try to get these jurors in the right jury room too. They got different cards, colors, so, you know,
Mhm.
trying to go in, get them in the right places. And they'll be able to communicate with the cards, and so we can try to show people back and forth.
All right.
Yeah.
The issue of the parking is obviously being looked at, but there are very few options available to us to address the total or global parking requirement that we're going to have.
Yeah.
There's simply not enough land, publicly owned land available that can be converted to parking to accommodate those requirements at this stage.
Nice.
We hope that some of this can be addressed as we move forward with our plans on these new facilities.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Next item.
I believe it's item D, consideration of and potential action to authorize the Rankin County Tax Collector to enter into a 5-year renewal of lease agreement with Almond Realty, Inc. for the lease of the Tax Collector's Flowwood Satellite Office. That's located at 5417 Highway 25, Suite L in Flowwood. That's at the rate of $1,800 per month. That's fixed for the entire term of the 5-year lease. This is an increase of $100 per month in rent over the previous 5-year lease agreement. I've reviewed the lease. It's acceptable. I have talked to Ms. Judy about that. Ms. Judy's here if you have any questions. And she is happy with what you have just heard here. This would be her request and recommendation of the board.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Morris, second by Mr. Cross. Any discussion?
Yeah, quick question. Craig, the lease, is it a gross lease we pay? I saw we pay is $1,800 a month, and Mr. Allman's responsible for all repairs, maintenance, anything?
Utilities, their utilities have gone up, she said.
Okay. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The next item, Mr. President, is the authority to establish a 30-day public comment period regarding adoption of our comprehensive update to the Rankin County Local Non-Hazardous Solid Waste Management Plan, and authority to publish the public notice on our hearing for the adoption of the comprehensive update to the Rankin County Local Non-Hazardous Solid Waste Management Plan. Authority of the Board President to execute the written notification to local officials regarding our comprehensive update, and that's all being done pursuant to Section 1717-227-5A.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Morrow,
Second.
second by Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Item F is the acknowledgement of receipt of notification from the Rankin County School District Transportation Department to remove the address of 160 Banks Street from the 2015-2016 school district school bus turnaround list as amended and prior approved by the prior board on December the 7th of 2015 in its board minutes.
Question, or you want to? Okay, can we go ahead and ask?
Yep. You can.
How the board does, is it they present this to us in the fall or August or whatever for us to, how does that work real quick?
The school district provides to our road department and to our administration a compiled listing of school bus turnarounds in the county. And so there's a document that has all of that, all of those school bus turnarounds in it. In prior situations, Mr. Morrow, when there has been an occasion to either take one off or put one on, that process has been handled less formally than we feel like we need to. So this is sort of a new way of handling it, of actually getting it on the minutes. So when they have a change to the list that has already been provided, we bring it before you now. We're going to be bringing it before you to actually have you amend the list on the minutes so that it's clear what is or is not a school bus turnaround throughout the year. As it's made known to us, we make those adjustments. So that's what
And
this
this is
is.
incumbent upon the school board to tell us.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're the ones who say yay or nay to these addresses.
That's correct.
Right.
That's
They
correct.
send in, it's like a work order.
Okay,
That is
Well,
correct.
okay, I'm good.
This board relies on the school district to indicate to it which of these, generally speaking, private roads need to be on a school bus turnaround list. We are relying on them to tell us which ones. And the requests, by the way, are handled through the school district. So the issue for us then becomes one of how it is that our road department is able to determine where it is authorized to provide maintenance. It is record keeping.
Don't they usually make requests every month too? So you'll see it on pretty much every month.
They're randomly, yeah. I mean, it's frequent.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's new ones added throughout the year for whatever reason.
Right.
And
In the past, what has been somewhat uncertain is how one comes off of the list. And so you see that this seems to be a more workable process for us, that when they take one off, we can make sure that our records reflect that it's no longer a school bus turnaround.
Is this the road for, that Mr. Wilcox was brought to our attention?
I
No.
don't think so.
No,
no.
sir.
Okay. All right.
Oh, no.
I was just gonna make note of if it was.
No, it
No,
wasn't.
this is a totally different one than all the searching and
Okay.
everything.
All right. Motion by Mr. Morrow to remove this from the school bus turnaround list.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Mr. President, I've just been advised by our undersheriff that our retired coroner has made it.
All right.
And so with your permission, we can take that item up now. If
Absolutely.
it's-
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good.
There he is, man of the hour. Come on in, Mr. Jimmy.
I got my family here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can
Come
all
on.
stand with you if you want.
Come on in.
Y'all right on time.
Right on.
Yep.
May I shake hands with you?
Please do.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Jimmy. Yes, sir.
Jay,
Thank you, sir.
appreciate you.
Appreciate it, Jimmy.
Appreciate y'all. Can I get across?
Hey, stand right here. Yeah, that's good. We got a resolution that we want to read for you,
Okay.
and Mr.
Got my family coming.
Yeah, please.
All of it. And the first lady's here.
I see that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
I said that.
got some hobnobbers around here.
Y'all come on up. Deborah.
Can I be part of your family? I mean, I kind of feel like your family, so.
All of you. Tommy.
Y'all didn't know this, but really.
Miss Ruth, how are you? Hey, Tony. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, hey, man. Good to see you, Bruce. Hey, Donna. I'm good. I want you to be front and center out here, you know. Well, you turn around, I think he wants to take a picture of this lovely family, and while we do that, Mr. Slade's going to read a resolution off for you.
Yeah, come on, make us look good.
All right.
Thank you.
Hi, Greg.
Members of the board, it's indeed a privilege and a pleasure on my part to be able to read for Mr. Jimmy Roberts a resolution and commendation for 33 years of service to Rankin County as our coroner. It is indeed a privilege also to have our First Lady with us, and it's a special treat. We were not anticipating that. Right, we had figured out a way to get you listed in here somewhere if we had known. So I commend Mr. Roberts not only on his service, but on his ability to bring heavy hitters with him when he is recognized.
Amen.
Indeed, that's wonderful. Ms. Roberts, we do want to say congratulations. I'm going to read this resolution that we put together. It says here that we are commending you on 33 years of service to Rankin County as our coroner, whereas Jimmy Roberts, the longest serving elected official in Rankin County, Mississippi, has faithfully served our county as coroner for 33 years. And whereas Jimmy is married to Ruth Roberts, he has 2 daughters, Donna Gentry and Sherry Porter, 2 stepchildren, Charlene Burridge and Bruce Jenkins, and he has 3 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. And whereas Jimmy Roberts is a native of Monroe County, Mississippi, born in 1934, told your age, and I apologize for that. He's a graduate of Becker High School and the John A. Gupton Mortuary School in Nashville, Tennessee. He is also a veteran of the United States Air Force. And for 50 years, Jimmy served as the general manager of Baldwin Funeral Home before taking retirement. And during his years of service to our community, Jimmy has owned and operated the Mississippi Mortuary Services and Central Mississippi Crematory. Whereas Jimmy Roberts is a member of McLaurin Heights Baptist Church in Pearl, where he serves as a deacon. As a follower of Christ, he believes that death is the gateway to heaven and the beginning of eternal life. And as coroner, it has been Jimmy's honor to serve Rankin Countyans with dignity, compassion, and respect during this important transition. And whereas in 1986, along with his daughter, Donna Gentry, Jimmy helped to organize the Mississippi Coroners Association, where he served as president. From 2003 through 2006, Jimmy received the Gift of Life Award and 2 Appreciation Awards from the Mississippi Organ Recovery Association for his work in supporting citizens about the importance of organ donation. And through his church and community involvement, Jimmy has dedicated his life to serving the families of Rankin County in a compassionate and dignified way. Therefore, it's resolved by the Rankin County Board of Supervisors that special recognition and commendation is due Rankin County Coroner Jimmy Roberts on the occasion of his retirement after 33 years of service to the citizens of Rankin County. We wish for Jimmy and his family many happy and relaxing days of retirement after a life of faithful service to our community. Ms. Roberts, it's indeed a privilege to recognize you for your service. Thank you for serving the citizens of our county.
There you go, Mr. Jimmy. Here is the original. Take with you, and we'll be outside to join you soon.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. You gonna finish up, Craig, and then we'll recess after this?
I'm done.
You
That
done?
was the end of my section.
Well, I tell you what, I don't think it's gonna start till 10. Why don't we go ahead and finish up until we get to the executive session part?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, y'all. You shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, huh?
I hope not.
You're gonna fast forward.
I'll speak as fast as I can.
But Miss Laura, we're going to table line item A.
Okay.
And take that up after executive session.
Okay. I'll move on to B then. The first item I have is authority to pay Gilworth Construction Company LLC for payment number 3 in the amount of $52,782 for the Rankin County Circuit Court modification and authority to issue that check.
Motion by Mr. Morrow.
Second.
Second by Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. The next item is renewal of our mosquito control service agreement with Vector Disease Control International and authority to issue the first payment of the service agreement in the amount of $18,833.33 and authority to issue that check. That's the 12 installments. That'll be the total contract is $220,000, which is a savings to the county of around $70,000 a year.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Cross.
Second.
Second by Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. The next item I have is authority to fund the judicial support staff for the Chancery Court in the amount of $47,508 to be paid through the Administrative Office of the Courts. Judge Roberts has sent me a list. They have a court administrator, which would be Judge Grants as the head court administrator. Then you have the 2 deputies, one for Judge McLaurin and one for Hayden Roberts, and then a staff attorney. The judges each have an allowance of $80,000. That combined is putting them $47,507.86 short in the amount that they need to fund this staff. So they're requesting that the board provide this amount.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Cross. Second by Mr. Moore. Any discussion?
Yeah, we'll have to amend our budget for this.
Probably so. We send an amount each year out of Circuit Court and out of Chancery to AOC. It is so hard to keep up with the exact amount, so sometimes, yes, sir, at the end of the year, we will have to do a budget amendment.
Okay.
Like last year, not in this section, but one we're coming up to, the staff attorney quit, so from February on through the end of the year, we didn't pay that sum. So it just depends on if they're here, they.
Well, we really don't have any choice, but I was just saying, because we didn't know
Correct.
this going in.
Correct,
Yeah.
and we'll
Right.
watch it closely to see when we need
Sure.
to make that amendment.
Okay. No other questions?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, thank you. The next item is authority to partially fund the salary and benefits of the 20th Circuit Court District Law Clerk at an approximate cost of $31,000 to be paid through Administrative Office of the Courts. This is for the Circuit Court. They had a law clerk. He quit. That's the one I was just telling you we didn't have to pay through the end of the year. Now that we have a new judge, they have one they want to hire. He's done an order on that, and that will be shared 50-50 with Madison County. And our portion will be around $31,000.
Motion by Mr. Marr to approve. Second by Mr. Gaines. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you. The next item I have is acknowledgement of a receipt of an order from Circuit Court Judge Steve Ratcliffe setting the salary and the benefit compensation package for his court reporter, and authorization of county administrator to establish compensation ordered by the court retroactive to January 1, and upon the receipt by the county administrator of the revised order from the Circuit Court to establish pro rata portion with Rankin and Madison 50-50. The original order he had sent in was 60-40, Rankin being the 60, Madison at 40. We have asked him to revise that to the new one to make it a 50-50 arrangement, and he is. The approximate cost to us will be less than $40,000 a year. I don't have an exact amount on it until I get the order in.
Motion by Mr. Morrow.
Second.
Second by Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
I have two items to add, if we have time to add those real
Sure.
quickly. Okay, the first one is, we had posted notice, actually 4, it's only required 3. We had it in our last minutes to dispose of 2 fire trucks by placing notice that were no longer serviceable to us. We have received only 1 sealed bid on that, which I will, if you'll allow us to add it, I'll open it this time.
What else do you want to add?
The next thing would be a partial payment for the furniture that was delivered to Circuit Court. Our furniture supplier is still holding some, and it's been well over a month, and we need to do a partial payment so that they can be paid for what has been delivered.
Make a motion, we add both items to the agenda.
Motion by Mr. Morrow, second by Mr. Morrison to add these 2 items. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
I make a motion, we approve both.
Okay. Motion to approve both is by Mr. Morrow.
Second.
Second by Mr. Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. That's pretty easy.
That was easy.
All right.
Do you want me to open this even though we only have one
Yeah.
Yeah.
bid? And this is from Brindling Mountain.
Very few companies that'll even bid on those used fire trucks.
That is correct. The 2, they're both a 1995 Freightliner FL80 pumper. One of them with the VIN that ends in 8177, $6,000, and the VIN that ends in 8198, $5,000.
Okay. Well, we've already voted on it. So.
Well, they're the only ones, so we can accept or reject.
All right, let's take a recess and enjoy some cake. And what do you say, about 20 minutes? Recess 20 minutes? All right, do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Morris to recess 20 minutes, second by Mr. Cross. All in favor say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir. They're both calls on the phone.